Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Welcome to Red Storm Chasers. I'm Craig here with Nick. This week we look back at the Xavier loss and the loss to Connecticut and look ahead to the DePaul and Marquette matchups this week, as well as where the Johnny's resume stands as of today. Nick, just me and you tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling better than some of the other people on our podcast. That's why we're both here.
Yeah, luckily we're the only two that made it out right now, so you just get the two of us. So you get. Well, it's Super Bowl week, Nick. So our question for the day. Usually Vincent makes these up, but here we go on the fly. Who do you got in the Super Bowl? That's number one. Number two, because you know me, I can't just pick one thing. I like to do multiple things.
There's no rules on this pod.
And that's right. Vincent's not here to yell at me, so I can do what I want. What's your favorite prop bet to bet during the Super Bowl?
All right, so my pick for sure, I'm picking the Chiefs, without a doubt. I'm a Chargers fan. I hate the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to win, for sure. They're doing it back-to-back. Taylor Swift won Album of the Year. Kelsey's going to win the Super Bowl. It's going to be what everybody wanted. It's going to be a match made in heaven. What the U.S. economy needs.
Okay, I would tend to agree with you. I think the Chiefs are going to win mostly because they have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, so. I think the 49ers are a better team, but their defense has been lackluster in the playoffs a little bit. But my favorite prop bet. So it's a literal toss up. One between the coin flip and the Gatorade color.
Okay.
Those are my two favorite. I do them every time.
I'm a big coin flip guy. I love the coin flip.
It's a 50-50 chance.
Not my favorite one to bet though. My favorite one to bet personally, National Anthem over under, which they took away last year.
It's because that guy recorded it.
Yeah, I know, but that's fun.
That's a fun one.
That's a fun one. I like that one. The Gatorade color is hard for me. I know. I struggle with the Gatorade color.
It's a crapshoot. I mean, sometimes
they're all crapshoots, right? For a certain amount, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. But people look into what they last year when the Chiefs won it, right? People were like, oh, when they won it, 4 years ago prior, what color was it? And they bet that color, and it was a different color.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter, and it doesn't matter what they use. It's in the AFC Championship or the NFC Championship, depending on the team.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's just
it's good doing it's fun.
It's fun, yeah.
The prop bets are almost more fun to bet on than the other stuff. Although last year I won a lot of money on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, and a little parlay that hit.
We love that.
I bet on Mahomes playing pad, and it worked.
we love hitting parlays. There's nothing like it.
Well, it was a tough week in St. John's basketball world. We had two games. Xavier and Connecticut lost both of them. So that was not a good, definitely not what we were looking for.
Nope.
First, we started off with Xavier on Wednesday after a long week off. And that game, frankly, just didn't go great. Really, from the start of the game to the end of the game, we were unlucky. I want to say we were unlucky in a lot of things. There were a couple moments of classic St. John's luck at critical moments that were really painful. But overall, there were other things that were much more problematic that really turned this thing. First of all, we lost the rebounding battle, 44-34. That's not good. We're one of the better rebounding teams in not only the Big East Conference, but in the nation. So if we're losing the big rebounding battle, that is a problem for us. We're not going to win many games like that. But the big number that you're going to circle on the stat sheet is shooting 14% from the three-point line, 2 of 14.
Yeah.
That's horrendously bad and hard to win games in the modern college game with only making 2 3-pointers the whole game. It's just really, really hard to do.
Especially when it's supposed to be a point of emphasis on our offense.
Absolutely. And Xavier, on the other hand, was 7 of 19, shot 37%. So, as Rick Pitino said in one of his early press conference, the three is a weapon if you defend it. If you're giving up more threes than you're making, it's not a weapon. It's becomes a detriment. And in this game, it certainly was a detriment.
Yeah.
Just to highlight some of the players from the game, 2 players stood out, frankly. And it's the 2 players you would imagine stood out. Dennis Jenkins had 25 points. He had only 2 assists, but he was 11 for 17 from the field. That's
Yeah, he was
pretty
spectacular.
efficient. 2 of 5 from 3-point lane, so he was the only guy to make a 3-pointer for us. And the other guy, obviously, Joel Soriano, who went for 21 and 15, 21 points, 15 rebounds. So he did his part on the rebound again. The problem really for us was that it was not a lot of weaponry to be found. Jordan Dingle was the only other Johnny in double figures. He had 12 points. He actually got the free throw line. He was 8 of 10 for the free throw line. So that was, he did get to the basket a lot and get fouled. But just overall, not a great performance from our Johnnies.
No, it really wasn't. And like you said, most of the game, we were just unlucky. Like it would bounce their way. Everything was bouncing their way. It would tip off one guy up over to a wide open guy for a three.
Yeah,
All the little things were just like, you got to be kidding me. It's going to be one of these games.
it was one of those games. I mean, it was like a classic, and the three play you're talking about towards the end.
Yeah,
So in case the game flow of this, so we were down most of the game around 6, 7, hovering around 6, 7, 8 points.
yeah.
We'd cut it down to 5. They'd get it back to 9. Back and forth and back and forth. They never really could get any traction. And then we made a run towards the end of the second half, and we cut it to. I want to say we cut it. We tied. We got it tied. We actually tied the game at 73 with 4 minutes to go. 3:59. Jenkins made a shot, and that tied the game. But from that point forward, Xavier went on a 15-2 run, or 15-4 run. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was the end of the game.
That was the end of the game, yeah.
And part of that, there were some plays in that, including the play we're talking about, where we get a stop. There's 2 seconds left on. We get a block. There's 2 seconds left on the shot clock. The ball bounces out to Oliveri, who's wide open for 3, and
Yeah.
bangs it as the time expires. And plays like that, when it was a 2-point game, we were about to get the ball back. Instead, he makes it a 5-point game, and then James compounded and that kind of stuff. So just overall, not what we were looking for.
Yeah, we played a solid defense. And a lot of times in that game, especially in the second half, the shot clock was down to like under 5 seconds left. We played solid defense, and then like they would shoot up a prayer, or they would it was just very frustrating of a game.
It was a very frustrating game. It was a game that you felt like we kept trying to get back into, but we just couldn't. Um, and credit Xavier, they needed that game for
Yeah,
their own tournament hopes, and they got it.
we're in the same
But
position as them.
it definitely a disappointing result for St. John's. It was a game that on paper, you were hoping we would win. I mean, we beat them by 15 here.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't expect to beat them by 15 in Cincinnati, but was hoping we'd at least sneak away with a win. And unfortunately, we did not do that.
I just want to say I thought it was a little interesting that Wilcher only played 3 minutes when he started, and Taylor only played 11 minutes when he started in the Xavier game. They had Dunlap come off for 12, RJ Lewis come off for 14, Dingle come off for 28, Aline for 11. I mean, even Traore for 9, more than Wilcher. Everybody more
Yeah.
than. I just thought it was interesting that they started him
interesting.
and then they only played in 3 minutes. It's the only 3 minutes that he played at this start.
Yeah, that is interesting. Definitely something to look forward to, because I actually don't think, going now as we go forward, I don't think he played very much in the UConn game. I'm pretty sure he played I don't think he played at all actually in the UConn game. So it's something to pay attention to as we go forward. So that was the Xavier loss. Unfortunately, that was not great for us. And then we headed into a tough matchup at the Garden versus number 1 UConn. A game, obviously, that's been circled on the calendar since Rick Pitino tried to push next year's UConn game away from the Garden and at Carnegie Arena. So UConn fans definitely had this one circled. They like to pretend that the Garden's their home, which is obviously not, but they like to feel like they have something cool they can do, because Connecticut's not cool. So, so there's that. So that game was circled, and unfortunately for us, we put up a good fight, but ultimately, look, UConn's the number 1 team in the nation, and they came out on top. Just to look back on some stats for this one, again, the leaders of the team, Jenkins had 19 points, 6 assists. He played the best on the team, I would say, overall.
Yeah,
Um, from just watching the game. The other people in double figures were RJ Lewis had 11 and Chris Ledlam had 10. Soriano did not have a great game. He was only 6 points, 4 rebounds. He struggled with the big men from UConn.
Yeah, they doubled him most of the game,
That's true.
and Klingon. I mean, they. It's funny because Klingon didn't have a great game either. He only had 5 points, 5 rebounds himself, so and 2 blocks. But you could tell they were really fighting down low the whole time. There was a true battle going on between the bigs down low,
Yeah,
and it was fun to watch. But we just got to talk about Jenkins a little bit because he came out of the gate ready to go, angry, which we don't
yeah,
get a lot at a noon game for the Johnnies. But sadly, it wasn't enough.
yeah. I agree. Jenkins did come to play. I mean, he had a good game. Um, the rest of the team, look, it's a tough game playing the number one team in the nation. Let's
Yeah,
be completely honest. But I thought we had a little bit of hope there. We got their two big guys in foul trouble. One of them fouled out. Um,
yeah,
so there was an opening there. Unfortunately for us, Cam Spencer and Tristan Newton and Stephen Castle had something else to say about it. They had 23 for Spencer, uh, 21 for Castle, and 18 for Newton. And those guys consistently killed us all day long. Another big stat to look at: UConn 47% from the 3-point line, 7 of 15. St. John's 4 of 14, 28%. Frankly, that's a no and zero made 3-pointers in the second half. This game was really a tale of two halves. First half, the Johnnies played really well, went blow for blow with the number one team in the nation, up one at the half.
can't ask for
Uh,
much more.
no, I mean when we were sitting there at halftime, I'm going like, I'd have signed up for this in a second.
Oh yeah,
Um, you figured Soriano would get it going at some point in the second half. Unfortunately, they did a great job of double, and triple teaming him every time he touched the ball. To their credit, they were not going to let Joel Soriano beat them. Um, but ultimately, in the second half, we got essentially outscored by 14 points, and you just really not didn't have the fight in the second half. I think that we had in the first half.
yeah. We didn't, and we also just we truly lack a shooter. We don't have anybody that we don't have anybody I trust to really even make a 3-pointer. Right, like Dunlap finally hit one again.
Yeah,
Jenkins, I trusted Jenkins yesterday. I would trust Jenkins
I
most of the
trust
time.
Jenkins
I
generally. He was the guy I would say if I had to take a three. He's the guy I would have taken.
Right. I wish it'd be Dingle too, because he was promised to be that a little bit. He
Fair.
can't.
I don't have
Um,
the same confidence level in Dingle that I have in
I
Jenkins in
don't
terms of
either.
making a three.
I'm just saying he was supposed to be, right?
No, I don't disagree.
We're lacking that, and that that hurts us towards the end of the games, right? When you need something, you need a spark. You don't have a guy you can turn to and say, "All right, he's going to get us a bucket." We don't have that guy. It's Soriano, but when they're double, triple teaming him,
Yeah.
you can't kick it out to somebody. There's nobody to you don't trust anybody to pass it out to.
No, it's a fair point. And look, the 3-point shooting has, especially in this recent slide that we've had, has not really been up to par, and that is a problem. It is significantly a problem. One thing I definitely want to say about the game, there was a lot of talk obviously before about St. John's and UConn fans in the Garden. Um, I have to say, first of all, the game was sold out, 100% sold out, top bottom, great.
The bridge.
Uh, the bridge, yeah, it was a packed house. It was exciting. It really felt like a big game atmosphere. Um, and I got to be honest, the crowd was actually a very pro St. John's crowd. Um, I, you know, I was afraid it might be severely UConn.
Yeah.
It was not. St. John's fans showed up. Were loud. The lower bowl was almost entirely St. John's, except for of course the people directly in front of us, because for whatever reason the row in front of us is always members of the opposite team. I don't really
Yeah.
know why that is.
Always.
But it is, unfortunately. And unfortunately, we had UConn fans who were, well, about as obnoxious as UConn fans always are, frankly. So really nothing to be surprised about. But they were
Yeah,
certainly,
they were the epitome of what you would expect a UConn student, or I guess alumni, and
former student. Yeah,
former student, and dad also was a student there because he
yeah,
was
yeah.
there too, and he definitely went to UConn too.
Oh yeah, he did. He did. But probably actually didn't. He probably lives in Connecticut, which is actually even worse.
Yeah,
Um,
he moved there after the fact. I did like the little terrible towels they gave out. The little
it was
red
good.
towels are nice.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a good environment, and I think really credit to St. John's fans. Frankly, it really was loud, and it did feel like a home atmosphere.
It did. It was loud.
Look, the UConn fans really didn't get loud until when the game was in hand towards the end. They did, but you know what?
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
They
There's nothing we can do about the fact that UConn's that close.
they kept their tail between their legs until they were decisively up, and then they started
Yeah,
chanting.
yeah. So you know what? Let's see how that goes. I was very pleasantly surprised about that. Um, One other point I want to talk about for this too. Uh, I guess UConn they don't miss free throws ever.
Yeah, right.
They shot with 20 straight free throws in a row or something like that before they missed one when it didn't matter because they were up by like 10.
Is
It was literal insanity. Good for them. I mean, not really, but good for them. Um, Again,
yeah. I was. It was.
I mean, that's something that we haven't done well. 68% for us, not great. 14 to 21. Those are some valuable points. And look, it wouldn't have changed this outcome of this game. But free throw shooting we've struggled. We have struggled in big spots with free throw shooting, and hopefully, but it could come back to haunt us.
Hopefully it
Hopefully
doesn't.
it doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't. Not hopefully.
Yeah.
um, the other thing, talk about we were out rebounding this game again. When we lose a rebounding battle, it is a problem for us,
Yeah.
and that's not good.
Well, that was a
Um,
credit to them, double and triple teaming
yeah,
Soriano, and Ledlum was doing a good job of trying to be the support. And I got to give him credit. As much as he annoys me sometimes that he tries to play the same role as Soriano, it was a good thing that he was there the other day
yeah,
because we needed somebody to while Soriano was getting double teamed.
true, true. Well, look, I think here's my thoughts on it. We can talk about this a little. We'll talk about this in a little bit. But look, I think you're playing the number one team in the nation. It's house money. Whatever happens, happen. We put up a good fight. No one's gonna fault you for losing to them. Big opportunity,
Yeah,
yes. Big opportunity, sure. Would have changed the dynamic of our rest of our season if we'd won that game on Saturday. But ultimately, not the end of the world, just not something the opposite. Plus, I hate losing to UConn. I hate making their fans happy.
I
Would
agree.
have loved to see them leave early with their tail between their legs. But unfortunately, we didn't get it done. But we move on. So now let's talk about on a depressing week. Who was the spotlight player of the week for this week? Only 2 votes. So I don't know. I guess we'll
Could
have AI. We'll have AI decide the third and final vote for tied.
yeah, right.
ChatGPT will be the deciding vote.
We'll put in Vincent and Tim's personalities. So I guess no. We'll put them all their prior picks in. We'll feed them the St. John
Right.
stats.
That's right. We'll feed them the stats and they get paid.
That'd be
All right.
interesting, actually.
All right, Nick. You're gonna go first because it's only you and me.
All right. I'm gonna. I think it's easy. I'm gonna go with Jenkins this week. Jenkins was, as we said earlier, he was one of the only guys who showed up for the UConn game, who showed out for the UConn game. And the Xavier game, he was very pivotal. He did have more turnovers in the past 2 games than he has in the games prior, which is something that we've noted that he's improved. But still, he's turned it up shooting wise, which is something that we probably need a little more. I'll take a turnover or two if we can get 2 to 3 more baskets. So I think I'm going Jenkins. I don't think I'm going Jenkins. I'm going Jenkins.
uh, no, all those are great points. So unfortunately, we're not gonna have to go to ChatGPT this week because I have to agree with you in the sense that Jenkins is definitely the spotlight player of the week this week. The only other person really in consideration was Joel Soriano because of the game he had against Xavier. Um, but once you compare the UConn games, you kind of have to go Jenkins. Jenkins has that mentality too. He's got to be the spotlight player of the week.
Yeah, he had that spark during the UConn game where I was like, oh wow, like he's mad, like he has a purpose, like he's angry, he's on a mission.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. So I think Jenkins is a no-brainer this week. So Dennis Jenkins, spotlight player of the week.
How many times has he won it?
Jenkins has won it.
Aren't you supposed to be keeping track?
Oh, I'm supposed to be keeping track. Oops.
You were?
Jenkins has won. Am I? Jenkins has won it 3 times.
Okay. I think Soriano still has the thing.
Close. I mean, maybe all time. I don't know about this year.
Got to look back.
I think Jenkins won 3. Soriano's won 2. I gotta look back.
Craig, why? What are we paying you all this money for if you're not?
You're right. You take it back part of my salary. It's fair. It's
Yeah, yeah.
understandable. All right. So now we're gonna take a look. Now that we looked at back, let's look forward. Um, I think from now really until the end, we need to continuously look at the state of St. John's basketball and see where we're at. Obviously, the tournament is coming up in a month, a little more than a month, so we need to see where we're at. I know there is obviously a lot of panic going on around St. John's world, and that is, par for the course for us. That's who we are. We like to be nervous, and we've been hurt before.
We've been here. It's not our
We've
first
been
rodeo.
here, not our first rodeo. We're all waiting for that dark cloud. So I get it. I do get the concern, but we need to look at it and let's see where we're at. Right now, St. John's is 43 in the net rankings. We are 7-8 in quad 1 and 2 games, 2-7 in quad 1 games. We in bracket matrix, which I preach that all day. I think we gotta get a sponsor from them.
Right.
They have us currently sitting at the highest rated 9 seed, and that includes and in the latest bracketology, which so far we haven't seen the ones factored in after the UConn loss. But as I said before, I can't imagine losing at home to UConn, the number 1 team in the nation, would really have that much of an impact on our seeding. We were currently an 8 in the Athletic. We were 9 in ESPN. So, what do you think, Nick? Where are we at with those stats after this week? Where do we stand?
I don't know. Are we talking in terms of like the tournament? Obviously, because
I'm talking. We're definitely talking. We're talking about.
Yeah, because you didn't say
All right. Let me rephrase this question.
I was gonna say you threw a lot of numbers at me.
Threw a lot of numbers at you. Sorry about that. Stats. Is this team? Will this team make the tournament?
I think we ultimately do.
Okay.
I think we squeak in. I think we're one of the last 4 in, probably.
Okay.
Well, actually, I don't think we're. I don't know.
That would mean we would struggle down the stretch because currently we're a 9. Let's go off that. Currently we're a 9 seed. So you're talking about dropping 2 seed lines. If you believe we're a 9, which is you can, and they were not, but
I don't know. See, I see the season going 2 different ways.
okay.
There's one version where I see us losing just to the ranked opponents that we play, right?
Okay.
And then we beat, Georgetown twice. We beat, we play who else? We play DePaul.
So why don't we talk about that? We break it down. So have we are 5-6 in the Big East right now, meaning that there are 9 more games to go.
We're 8th in the Big East, also, just for reference.
Okay, we're 8th in the Big East, 5-6 in conference. We have 9 games left. 4 of those games, 2 are against DePaul, 2 are against Georgetown. In my opinion, you cannot lose any of those games under any circumstances. Those are quad 4 losses. If you lose any of those games, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Then we're talking about a whole different realm of
I think that's what we're talking about last
then
four.
Then we're in real trouble. If we lose any of those 4 games, that's a huge problem. Yeah. You agree?
I agree.
So,
and it's scary that there's 4 of them. There's 4 of those.
It's 4.
Basically, like minefield game. Like you're playing mines.
100%. So you take those 4 games, add that on. So now, if you take those 4 games, you're 9-6. Okay, you have 5 games left: at Marquette, at Butler, and at Providence. Home against Creighton, and home against Seton Hall. Those are really the 5 games that will make our season.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you win 3 of those games, in my opinion, you're no doubter. You're no doubt tournament team.
Yeah. If you
win 3, any of those 3, I think you're no doubt tournament team. If you win 2 of those games, we're gonna sweat. I think you still make it, but I think you sweat.
Yeah, I could get behind that. Because then you're talking what? If you win 3 of those games, on top of winning the other games, you're talking 7 more wins, right?
You're talking 7 more wins at 3. Yeah,
that'd be 7 out of our last. We have 9 games left, so we're talking 7 out of our last 9.
You'd be 12-8 in conference.
That would put us 12-8. That probably puts us about 6 in the conference.
20 wins 20 wins on the season, 12-8 in the conference. Probably puts you in the top 5. I would imagine in conference.
Yeah. Well, we gotta. Well, I don't know about that, but I think probably 5-6. I would say 5-6. Yeah, I can get behind that.
That's my opinion. My point being is that
As long as we
I
don't,
under,
again, we just can't. I'm sorry, we just can't lose to a DePaul or to Georgetown because those are
no
explosive losses. And
look.
if we lose two of them, I don't know if we make the tournament.
If we lose two of them, I don't think we make the tournament.
Even if it's
I,
to DePaul twice or like you know what I mean, like we
doesn't
can't lose
matter
two of them.
any.
Yeah,
We can't lose. First of all, we can't lose one of them.
if we
If you
lose,
lose one of them, you severely
you're
hamper your chance.
then we're talking like I guess
We
we'd
need
be
a lot of help.
well. We need to win one. We need to win a game or two in the Big East tournament.
Yeah,
That's what we'd have to do.
maybe.
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, losing
That's
to
what we would have to do.
those two teams are very bad. They're really, really bad. You cannot lose to those teams, frankly, in my opinion. If you lose those games, which we have one coming up, it changes the complexion of the conversation entirely,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I'm assuming those are going to be wins. You have to make the assumption those. If those aren't wins, then that's an entirely
Right.
different world we're living in. You have to assume those are wins, and if those are wins, it's very doable to win those games. Doesn't mean we will. By the way, I'm not. I think we can. I think we can beat anybody.
Right.
I think we can.
I don't know if we
Do
can.
I think we could.
You think we could beat
Anyway,
Houston?
I was talking to the Big East, but
Okay, yeah. I would agree with that.
I was talking to the Big East. Although I don't know that you could say that about UConn, but
I think we could.
we played them not at full strength twice, and they beat us both times.
I still don't think
And
we're.
evidence would point to show that we can't beat them.
I don't think we're not. I don't think we're playing our best basketball right
Sure.
now.
That's fair. And look, I understand the worry. I understand the concern. It has been a rough stretch. It has been a very, very rough stretch.
We played our toughest. We've played a lot of ranked opponents and a lot of
We
road
played a lot of
games.
ranked opponents. And look, we said it when we talked about the Big East breakdown. This was the hardest part of our schedule. It does get lighter from here.
Yeah.
So
After the
look,
Marquette game, it's like a whole new view.
so let's see where we're at in a couple weeks and reevaluate. Not that we don't reevaluate every moment of every day.
Right.
I would say let's a little patience. And just for the record, it's Rick Pitino. So even if this season doesn't turn out the way we all want it to, which is obviously what we all want, we're going to be okay.
In Rick, we trust.
In Rick, we trust. That has not changed.
Listen, he hasn't even had. Well, this is his first full recruiting season.
Yeah.
Like
No, that's true.
he slapped the team together, which was very impressive. During one of the games, they said it on TV that we are one of three teams that have more than like 8 or 9 transfers,
Right.
and the other 3 teams are like awful.
Sure.
We're talking about making the tournament. He's doing a pretty good job in his first season. Right.
And look, I understand.
And no, you're fine. And we have 2 4-star guys coming in next season in Glover and Maker. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I wish we were in a better spot than we are right now, but I don't think at all this season's a failure, and I don't think we have anything to panic about at all right now, currently.
No, I mean certainly the season's not fair. Look, if this team makes the tournament, even if by the skin of their teeth and that is still an overwhelming success for the first year. I mean, look, yes, NIL changes the timeline on a lot of these things, right? It does make it seem like you can turn it around very quickly, and you can, by the way.
It's possible.
You can.
It's hard.
It's possible. But in reality, having a base of kids that stay from this year's team to next year's team and bring in some other high-level transfers and that will make a better team next year than it will this year. I mean, that's just how it works. And look, things will change, but you don't know who's coming available in the portal either.
Right.
So let's take a deep breath. Everything will be okay. We wanted Rick Pitino. We got Rick Pitino. Let's let Rick cook, as they say. So that's where we are right now. And now we need to look ahead to a very critical game, not a very, hopefully not a very entertaining game, but a very important game for us at UBS Arena on Tuesday night. We played DePaul at UBS Arena at 6:30 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. DePaul's not good. Let's just get that out of the way. They are just frankly really, really, really not good. They fired their coach mid-season. Tony Stubblefield is now gone. question is, will they hire Dave Lieto for the third time and hope that the third time is the charm? They may. Who knows? It's DePaul, man. They're crazy.
That would be something.
They won't do that. It would be hilarious, but
He would have to ask for a lot. If I'm him, I'm asking for a lot of money if they come back to me.
DePaul is 3-19 on the season. On the season, probably say. Not in conference. They are 3-15 in the net. Just really, really bad. They have no wins outside of Quad 4. So,
Pretty bad.
it's pretty bad. It's pretty bleak over in. I guess they're not Chicago, but pretty bleak over in Chicago.
They're Chicago.
No, you're right.
They're in Chicago.
Maybe
they used to play in Rosemont, but now they play in downtown Chicago.
You're right. They do play in downtown Chicago. You're right. It's my bad. Well, let's give you their players to look out for. Chico Carter Jr. leads the team in scoring with 11 points a game. Deshaun Nelson is the other DePaul Blue Demon that averages double figures at 11 points a game as well. What do we need to do to beat DePaul, Nick?
I think, to be fair, we're on a 2-game losing streak ourselves, and we've lost 4 of our last 5. So we're not. We need to win this game. We need to come together as a team. We need to play team basketball. That's what we need to do. We need to find ourselves again, because this is a game where we can. Obviously, we can't sleep. Again, this isn't a game we can lose, right? So we can't try to get cute, playing and messing around, trying new sets and everything, and then we lose, right? That's not an option. But
Agreed.
I think we gotta, play team basketball. Maybe we can get somebody who can shoot a 3 or 2. Maybe Dunlap could come back alive. The resurgence. I'm hoping for it every time the ball goes up in his hands.
Sure.
Soriano does his thing. Jenkins does his thing. I don't think we're gonna have a hard time beating DePaul, frankly.
No, they are the worst rebounding team in the Big East. They score the lowest amount of points in the Big East. They turn the ball over the most in the Big East. They shoot better from 3-point land than us.
God.
So there's that. So that's not great. I would agree with you, Nick. DePaul is not someone. They have 3 wins on the season. Not a team we should struggle against. A team we should really, frankly, handle very easily. The team we have to handle, as we talked about before. It is this game, while it shouldn't be close, is extremely critical. A loss here changes the trajectory of this season, so we cannot, under any circumstances, lose this game to DePaul.
Also, just want to reiterate how bad DePaul is. They're still searching for their first Big East win this season, on top of being the worst in every single statistical category.
Right. You're right, Nick. They have not won a Big East game. In fact, the last win they have was against Chicago State on December 30th, which means they have not won a game yet in 2024. And 3 wins on the season: Chicago State, South Dakota, and Louisville, because Louisville is also awful.
Jesus.
Yeah. Look, this game comes at a perfect time for St. John's. We need to get right. We need to get back on the winning ways. I think this is an important game for us to get our heads right, get back on the winning path, and then head on to a more important game against Marquette later in the week. So let's get on to that. That Marquette game is Saturday, February 10th at 6 p.m. on Fox Sports 1 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Let's look at Marquette. I know we looked at them before because we played them here at the Garden, but they're led by Tyler Kolek, who averages 15 points a game and 7 assists. He's a prime player of the year candidate. They also have Oso Iguodaro, who he played really well against the Garden. It really was a thorn in our side. He averages 14 points and 7 rebounds a game. He will be the main foil to Joel Soriano here next Saturday. Marquette does a lot good. They're 8-3 in conference. Most bracketologists have them pegged as a 3 seed, and if they play their cards right, they can even move up. They're second in conference, just behind UConn. Marquette's good. They're the defending Big East tournament champions. And looking back, we almost beat them. So do I think we only lost by 1 point?
On a buzzer beater.
On a buzzer beater.
Well, a missed buzzer beater by us.
Correct.
A heartbreaking loss.
A heartbreaking loss.
We had that game.
We did. And it would have been a huge one to get, but we didn't get it. So now, look, we got to go in there building, and hopefully we can sneak away with a win. By the way, a game that, while it's one of the 5 that we need to win 3 of, not necessarily highest on my priority list, because look, a Marquette win on the road would be a quad 1 win. It would be a signature win, and hopefully a win we can come away with. But we will see. That is a tough place to play against a very good team. So we'll see how our Johnnies come out in that game.
As much as losing to DePaul would be an awful loss and changing the whole trajectory of the season, beating Marquette on the road would be such a great win that it would change our trajectory for at least the NCAA, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like, if we were to beat that Marquette game, now we're talking about a different conversation of where we're
Right,
at.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, to your point, change trajectory is 100% change trajectory. Now we're thinking about, okay, how high can we get seeding wise? Not necessarily are we going to sneak in.
Yeah.
Last when we played them, just some stats. RJ Lewis had a spectacular game, scored 20 points. He led the way. Jenkins had 16, led them 13, and Soriano 11. So we really had a very balanced scoring attack, and that will be needed again when we play Marquette, because they can come at you in waves. And they have a lot of guys who can score. Right? They have 4 guys that average double-digit scoring.
Wow.
They have, they have Kolek, Cam Jones, Osei Gadar, and David Joplin all average above 10 points a game. So they have some very balanced scoring attacks. So, it's an uphill battle, but it's one I think we can win. Look, we only lost to them, like you said, by 1 point. I thought we should be able, we were in that game. So hopefully we can sneak away with a win on Saturday. So looking at this game, I think one of the key things for us is something that we've struggled with the last few games is our 3-point shooting. If we can put that number somewhere in the 30s, we'll be in really good shape, and it could be a game that we can sneak away with a win against Marquette. If we're not there, we have an uphill battle to climb. I mean, last time I played them, we only shot 24%. So imagine if we shot 30, it
Right.
would be a completely different game. So that would be my key to the game, is if we can get some 3-point shooting. Nick, what's your key to the game?
I think my key to the game is going to be, Soriano is the key to my game. So I guess really the battle between Soriano and Oso Igudaro. Listen, Oso he was projected, not projected. He was put on the wooden watch list. Soriano was put on the center of the year watch list. And Igudaro is not a center; he's a forward, so he didn't get on that list. He's probably on the forward list if I had to take a guess. But that's going to be a very important battle down low. As we all know, Soriano is very important for our offense. It's going to be a spectacular battle down low. It's going to be fun to watch. Just like how we watched Klingon against Soriano against UConn, and it was, I watched it. I paid attention to it. It was a fun battle to watch down low. I anticipate more of that. Igudaro is better than Klingon. Igudaro is probably going to be in the NBA.
Igudaro is also a different type of big man, in a sense that it's a different kind of battle. Soriano and Klingon are similar in the way they play. Igudaro plays more like a forward in a certain sense. So it is an interesting challenge for Joel Soriano. I would agree with that. And I think also, to your point, the rebounding battle will be important, as it always is for us.
Yeah.
If we out-rebounded them last time, if we don't out-rebound them this time, we will struggle. So I think it's a great point. Well, I think that wraps us up for this week. We have, hopefully this week is better than last week, so fingers crossed, everybody. Hopefully we're coming back next time. We're talking about a great week and really resetting where we've been.
We got to at least go 1-1.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we
better at least go 1-1. Hopefully we're 2-0 at the end.
Hopefully we're 2-0, and then we're really celebrating next week. All right, and that'll do it for this episode. So for Nick, I'm Craig. Go Johnnies, keep chasing.